Hey everyone, I am here with Sam Ronan. Once again, he's back on the Humanist Report after his famous DNC chair race. He became a progressive icon, I think you can say. So Sam, what have you been up to? What are you working on? How's life been since you are no longer running for DNC chair?
Yeah, man. So first and foremost, it's been a long time, and I missed you. I really did. I
Missed you
missed you,
too,
brother.
man. Missed you.
We need to do this more often. We need to find schedules that correlate. Um,
Definitely.
but that's kind of what's been going on. I've been traveling all over the country. When I mean all over the country, I mean I have literally been coast to coast. And in fact, next week or in the next 2 weeks, I'll be in New York City, the New England area for until the 24th. I'll be back for a few weeks, and then I'm gonna try and get up to the California, Sacramento area for their state Democrat chair convention, where Kimberly Ellis is going to be hopefully our next progressive chair for the entire state of California. So I mean, there's a lot of great things coming up, and I've been working on basically fulfilling my promise, right? I mean, I ran for DNC chair and I said I will empower people to run for office because that is what we need to do. And I think we might talk a little bit later on the DNC thing, but
Hmm.
what I've been doing is our voice, and our voice as an organization is literally that. Everybody clamors about having a third party. Well, the reality is, third parties aren't viable in every single state, right? Unfortunately. Most states you have to be a Republican or a Democrat. You might be able to get on the ballot as an independent, but your likelihood of winning is pretty rough. And in Ohio specifically, right? So what our voice is really trying to do is give people, progressives specifically, the opportunity to primary incumbents in their places of power. Meaning, if you're in rural Ohio, you can absolutely run as a Republican because all it is an R, a little R next to your name. But we, the people, will be the ones supporting you. Same thing with if you have to run as a Democrat. Um, we would even be willing to endorse Green Party candidates, libertarians, independent candidates, whatever, throughout the country if it's feasible to win, right? We don't want to do pie in the sky races. We do want you to win, but we also want to make sure that we get incumbents out of office because those are the people who are causing all of our troubles.
Hmm.
I mean, that's like a little brief plug. The other half of it, right, isn't just the organizational part. It's the fact that we're building an application and like a web app, like you can get it on your phone
Smartphone.
type thing. Yeah.
Nice.
We're going to be in the Google Store and we're going to be in the Play Store.
Hmm.
And actually, we need a Google or an Apple app designer. We need somebody to help out with that framework. But beyond that, we'll be in the Google Store at the very least, or the Play Store, I think it's called. And literally, it's a one-stop shop for all things political. It'll show you how to get on the ballot. It'll tell you who's currently on the ballot. It'll give you a place to sign up to volunteer. It'll give you a place to sign up to be a candidate. I mean, it literally gives you the toolbox in one area that is essentially the information we lack. I mean, I
Hmm.
said it in the DNC race. Um, Most people have no idea how to even run for mayor, right? I mean, you might know how to run for mayor. I might know how to run for mayor, but I guarantee 99% of the people watching this have no clue. And that's the problem. Like when I went up to Kent State the other day and gave a speech there, um, I asked the audience, I said, how many of you actually know how to run for office? Literally one person raised their hand. Like that's the problem. So with our voice, we're trying to solve a myriad of different problems. We're trying to be the box that brings everybody together, right? Or actually the glass, right? You
Hmm.
got to pour the stuff in the glass, and then you put in the ice cubes, and then you put in the sprinkles and all that crap. The glass is our voice. Justice Stands, New 535, Bernie Kratz, Progressive Movement of whatever. That is what goes in the cup so that we can share it around and spread the strength and the power. Because otherwise, we keep getting what happens in Los Angeles and all these other major races throughout the country where progressives continue to lose because we're not united and we don't have the support structure.
Right. Okay, so first of all, I got to comment. Love the visual aid. Love it.
Our voice.
I don't know if that was planned or not, but that's great. So let me ask you this because I haven't heard of I mean, I've heard of Our Voice, but this is the first time I'm really getting the details about it. So it sounds to me like this is basically political resources. If you have a question about something, this is kind of a main hub. If you want to run for office, it's a good starting place. if you want to find out how to challenge them. So is that basically, I mean, am I getting this correctly here?
It's actually that and more. Everybody wants a third party, and like I just said, third parties aren't viable all over the country. But what is a party? It's a structure, it's an organization, it's support, right? Being a Democrat or a Republican, yeah, there's a platform affiliated and there's a history affiliated with it, right? But essentially, it's literally just money, resources, training, mentorship, and the ability to get on a ballot, right?
Absolutely.
Well, right. So getting on the ballot isn't hard. You run as a Republican or a Democrat, right? You can do that anywhere in the country. The hard part is getting supporters and getting volunteers and getting the money and getting the fundraising and getting people to know that you exist. That's the hard part. But that is exactly what a support structure is. That's exactly what a political party is. It's just a network. So if our voice, right, I have a little flyer. So actually what we have is, our logo, our bird. You guys see that? There you go, the bird. Yeah. And the bird is going to be our symbol, right? So, a bird in flight, freedom, right? That's what we are. We are the progressive movement is the movement for the future. In flight, not restricted. And if you see that logo or you hear our voice affiliated with, say, my name or even you, hey, Mike's running for Congress and wherever the hell you live, and you got the Our Voice endorsement, that tells not just people that know what Our Voice is, right, but that tells everybody affiliated with it. That tells this entire network of progressives that the guy who started it, Sam Ronan, created Our Voice to empower candidates all across the country, and Mike is a part of that? Are you kidding me? That's awesome. So it infiltrates the entire progressive and Bernie and Green and whatever network all at once just through affiliation. So what we're really doing, and I know I probably should come up with a better elevator speech than a long-winded, diatribe, but working on it, by the way. I have my leadership team yelling at me every day that I do this.
If you start sounding like Hillary Clinton, nobody's going to join Our Voice. So as long as you get the facts out there, even if it's not like, perfectly, rehearsed, I think that you're fine because you're explaining it just well.
Awesome. And actually, I do have a pitch. It's like a little one-liner, I think. Nope. That's for the Indiegogo. I can't read. Sorry. Mission statement. And I got to give a shout out to Zach Holler for writing this for me. Nope. Also not. That would be for the Indiegogo as well.
Is it I'm with him? Is it I'm with him?
No, I'm with him. No. Okay. Anyway, I guess I was wrong about my pitch. Regardless, it's everything you want and need in a third party, but for the sole purpose of infiltrating incumbents up and down the ballot. This is how we win. If we can't win by doing something outside of the box, then let's get inside the box and tear that sucker up from the inside, right? People are so tied to this need to be independent or a part of or apart from these different organizations, but they exist. So why not use them? Seriously, they use us every single election year, and we're fed up with it. So let's use them right back. Same thing with the fundraising. Super PACs and dark money, right? Citizens United is a huge problem because corruption and bribery is effective to the weak. Right? Every single person in Congress that's currently elected, at the state legislature, all these people who take these large donor donations and then sell out their constituents for pennies on the dollar, they are weak. They are pathetic. And they can be defeated if we support ourselves. So if one donation is $3 million or $30 million to this super PAC and then it goes out to the entire Republican Party, right? Imagine what 30 million people can do. Right? 30 million people donating $1 is the same thing. The money isn't the issue. It's where it's coming from and who's supporting it. So as long as we're the ones fundraising and bankrolling our candidates, we're fine. And that's the premise. Our voice is the unifying structure that allows us to focus on one thing, winning, getting people on the ballot, elected, and in government so that we can start infiltrating the system. And then we can start making the differences. And then we can start dismantling the corrupt entities. But until we do that, until we come together, we're going to continue to lose like we did, unfortunately, in Los Angeles just yesterday and the other special elections that have been going along around the country.
Right. So it sounds like you've been busy, basically, in a nutshell, after the DNC chair race, and you're traveling around the country doing different things, giving speeches. So a big question that I know my audience is curious about is, what are you doing in 2018? What's going on with Sam, specifically around the November time frame?
So where will I be election day 2018? Hopefully asleep. No, just kidding. No, I do want to run for office, and we can even consider this my soft launch if you'd like. You get the exclusive first crack at Samuel
You heard it here
Ronan.
first.
You did.
I won't put a banner across the screen like CNN. Breaking: Samuel Ronan announces candidacy. I won't do that because that's just too cringy. I can't do that to you.
Hey, but you at least get the first crack. You get those kudos, right? Those brownie points.
Nice.
I have every intention of announcing. I can't make it an official announcement until the Our Voice org and PAC are ready to go and can stand on their own 2 feet. But I feel like by June 1st, I will be ready for an announcement, perhaps a couple weeks or days earlier than that as well. So be looking out in the summer for this guy to be running for Congress. Now, I do know exactly where I want to run. Ohio's 1st congressional district. That's Steve Shabbat's district, in case you guys know who that is, and you want to send him some angry hate mail because...
Well, hang on. I can't condone sending people hate mail because we get a lot of backlash on YouTube if we send like angry mobs to people.
Oh, well.
So I do not endorse what Sam Ronan is saying, just for the record.
I take it back. I was just trying to be funny and over the top. But seriously, there is a reckoning coming for the 1st district. We cannot afford to allow these Republican trolls to continue to sit in power for decades and completely undermine our Constitution. I mean, we just saw Paul Ryan care and Trump care emerge onto the congressional floor, right? It got struck down, and now they want to push it forward again with even less provisions. They're trying to defund Planned Parenthood. They're trying to take away the only thing that anybody did like about it, which was the previous conditions, right? They want to get rid of that. It's like, oh, guess what? Insurance companies can now discriminate again. Like, these are the men and
cruel. It's so cruel. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just a cruel bill.
It is utterly devoid of humanity or empathy, and it kind of goes counter to what the whole purpose of government is. A government is supposed to support its population, and what the Republicans are doing are deliberately dismantling every social structure and support structure that exists. So, yeah, we cannot allow that to continue. And any support that I can receive, be it volunteering, be it phone banking, be it donations, be it just retweeting a tweet, I look forward to it, I welcome it, and I want to thank you in advance.
Great. Okay, so let me ask you this. I kind of want to go back into the DNC chair race because there are some things that I know we're all curious about. So you had a lot of grassroots momentum behind you. There was a lot of enthusiasm behind your campaign. Tell me how many votes you got for the DNC chair position.
So you got to carry the 0.
0 votes. And
Goose.
That was kind of, I mean, we were all, I think you were probably our number one choice for a lot of progressives, at least. Keith Ellison was second. Keith Ellison didn't even win, and then you got 0 votes. So it kind of felt as though we were getting slapped in the face. And then you kind of see us, we'll see the establishment patting progressives on the head by appointing Keith Ellison to be the deputy DNC chair, effectively making up a position for him. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I found that insulting. I found it as not them trying to extend an olive branch to progressives, but them just saying, well, here, you get nothing. We'll trot out Keith Ellison. We're like him, but really, behind the scenes, we're more like Tom Perez and Hillary Clinton. Just give me your whole thoughts on that, because I was incredibly insulted by this. I just found it a slap to the face of every progressive that was behind your campaign, that was behind even Keith Ellison's campaigns.
Well, I mean, you're not wrong. The sad thing too is the first thing they do with Keith Ellison is make him record a donation pitch, and then email it to everybody in the Democratic Party, right? And I don't understand it, because it's not like they didn't hear the solution to their problems because I delivered it. It's not like they weren't aware that progressives were disgruntled and disenfranchised because I told them and I was the example. But you're right. Getting 0 votes I mean, it stung a little bit. I figured I would have gotten at least a token vote, but what had happened right before the votes were cast was Pete Buttigieg dropped out. And I
Mm.
think I think Pete Buttigieg, sorry.
I just call him Butt Geek.
Well, I mean, I call him Mayor Pete because Buttigieg is hard to pronounce.
It is. It is.
You know, when he dropped out, I think that kind of told everybody that would have voted that's like, oh, we don't get a safe round, because I think there would have been a safe round. Some of the insiders say there wouldn't have been one regardless. I think there would have been a safe round where people would have voted for their second pick, right? The one that if they weren't going to pick Tom or Keith, they would pick this person, right? And I think we would have seen that I would have gotten maybe single digits, possibly 10, 11, a dozen votes. And everybody else probably would have gotten similar. But when he dropped out, there was no safety whatsoever. That was absolutely, nope, we got to pick our guy and we got to do it now. And Tom Perez almost won outright then and there in that first vote. So what we saw, and then on top of that, and I can't talk about the vote without talking about what immediately preceded it. Christine Pelosi submitted Resolution 33. Now that's Christine, the daughter, not Nancy, the mother, right? Christine Pelosi, I mean, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. She is at least trying to be progressive, even if she's like kind of on that cusp. She's center left. I'll give her that much. She's not left, but she is definitely center left. And when she proposed Resolution 33, I was clapping until my hands bled, right? And Resolution 33 was getting money out of politics, getting corporate donations out of the Democratic Party. They could have done it that day, and they didn't. And in fact, they, despite the booing in the background, and I mean booing, not like boo, like ugly pitchforks and torches booing from the back, they still voted against it. They shot it down. They're like, well, we have to take money. No, you don't. If you could get 270 million people to agree on something and give you $1 to agree on it each month, that's what? $3.4 billion a year or more, something like that. I mean, it's an astronomical amount of money. So the Democrats just repeatedly shot themselves in the foot that day. And then since then, you know, I remember being on CNN for, 2.5 hours, standing there and only 5 minutes of speaking. But I remember distinctly everybody saying, if I become chair, I will bring everybody else to the table. And that also hasn't been happening. And it's not just me. It's two of the Petes and I think Ray weren't called up either. They're not on the transition team. And I think that's a problem. I mean, I get that some of us have outside lives and outside requirements and responsibilities. But even as an advisor, like even as a, hey, what do you think on this, that, or the other? I mean, that is, I think, the problem. And then you see, Keith Ellison saying we should all just suck it up and get over it. And Tom Perez saying we're going to call in everybody's pink slips and then we're going to do this and that. And then you had Debbie herself say, the Democrats are a grassroots organization. I got myself a pumpkin spice latte that day because I just couldn't even at that. It was ridiculous. And it kind of breaks my heart because the Democratic Party as an institution, right, as just an organization, isn't flawed. It's the people running it. Just like the government, the federal government and the Constitution isn't a flawed document or a flawed system. It's the people that are ruining. And so when you see people in power going so far out of their way to undermine their own efforts, it's just extremely frustrating and aggravating. And I even reached out with an olive branch to my own county chair. And I was very polite. I can send you the email. I took pictures of it in a meme. And I can send you that email and I can send you her response. And it just does not make sense where the vitriol is coming,
I can tell you, I think it's because they see progressives like an inconvenience. We're kind of like just an annoyance, like a tick on their asses that they so desperately want to get rid of. And that's
we're the future.
Right. We are.
We're the future, and we're the ones that are most riled up. I mean, at the very least, you would think you would tap our energy and at least direct us in a direction, at least point us somewhere to go. But outright just crushing us and smothering us. Like, that doesn't make sense. Like, honestly, if I always have to resort to, my military background, but if I see an eager new troop straight out of basic and tech school, who's really eager, asking a lot of questions, wanting to get a lot of work done, I'm not going to say no, sit in a corner and lick a biscuit or something. Like, are you kidding me? No, I'm going to engage with that airman. And if that airman turns out to be, a little just over the top, sure, fine. Then you instill discipline. There's a difference between having enthusiasm without restraint and just being energetic without any way to, like, distribute it, right? And so I feel like the progressive movement is that brand new troop, fresh out of boot camp, fresh out of tech school, arrived to his first duty station, right? Clean pressed uniform, sleeves all rolled up, all pretty, like, ready to go, right? Sir, yes, sir. And getting slapped down by the grizzled old chief who's about to retire next year, right? That's how I feel the progressive movement is being treated by the Democrats, which is exactly why I'm building Our Voice. That's exactly why I'm doing it. Because otherwise, let's be real, this doesn't pay the bills, okay? My unemployment ran out last month, okay? Like, I'm living paycheck or a savings account to savings account and GoFundMe to GoFundMe right now. There is no reason, no motivation, and no benefit to me doing this right now, other than the fact that it needs to get done, and nobody else is working. Nobody else is working towards unity. There's a lot of people trying to do a thing, like get congressional candidates run, in office, or fundraise, or do grassroots organizing, or do ballot initiatives. I mean, there's people doing individual things, but there's nobody, not a single organization that is actually going out of its way and encouraging people to come together and using their support structure as a launching pad. Like, I've offered several organizations that when we incorporate as a nonprofit, you're more than welcome to be a DBA. You get to keep your autonomy. You get to spend a whole lot less money for filing fees, and you get to be affiliated with Our Voice. You get to use our networks, and we get to work with you directly. Like, I don't know of any other organization that is doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
and what's unique about yours, just to kind of clarify, is it's not just, liberal. This is for conservative grassroots candidates too, correct? Kind of like brand new Congress, or is it more liberal-centric?
So, yes and no. It is designed for the progressive, but to be able to run in a conservative district as well.
Okay.
So,
okay.
You know what I'm saying? So, like, say we get that once-in-a-lifetime conservative who actually is progressive. They just happen to live in a district where they have to have an R next to their name, right? We would happily support, endorse, and run that person because they will be able to win and then embody the principles we hold dear. The problem isn't that the progressive message isn't well-liked or well-received in rural areas. It's the phrasing, the catchphrases, the buzzwords, right? The triggers. Single payer automatically gets a door slammed in your face unless you're Bernie Sanders, okay? I am not Bernie Sanders. I cannot say single payer to somebody and they take me at face value. I have to talk about how healthcare reform benefits people through the taxes they're already paying and not increasing them or paying out of pocket, right? Same thing with education. If we had a streamlined education process that was free, the school to work process would be simpler. You could actually incentivize employees or employers to hire a certain threshold of brand new students, or have better programs to where you'll be hired on as you complete your education, and then you'll have practical experience on top of that. Like, the more integrated the employment versus education processes can be, the better off we'll be. Same thing with vocational schools. Most people look at trades as beneath them, but for the most part, like, I would say trades pay higher than 70% of most four-year degree programs starting out.
It's just a matter of doing what you want to do. I mean, I think we're all kind of faced with this question. Are we going to pursue something where we're just happy every day, or are we trying to make money? So, I mean, I think that, trade can potentially be a great option. I have a friend that just finished trade school. She's like a hairdresser or something. And you make minimum wage, but she likes it. I mean, you do get tips, of course. She loves doing it. So it's just a matter of what makes you happy.
Exactly. And we should make it as simple of a process as possible. We shouldn't make you go into debt, like, because even though she went to hairdresser school or cosmetology school, I think that's what it is.
I think you're right, yeah.
Yeah, cosmetology school, she still paid money out of pocket to go there, right? And that's a problem because, like you said, she's going to be making minimum wage.
Right.
Now, my brother, he's doing an apprenticeship as an electrician, and he's got 2 more years left, I think, he's got 2 more years left, and he's going to start making like anywhere from $26 to $30 an hour. You know how old he's going to be? 20.
That's great.
Right. So a 20-year-old making $30 an hour. I was making $23 an hour at Simcoe when I worked there, and I was 25, 26, right? You know, so my little brother is going to be doing better than I was at the same age.
That's great.
So that's why I'm saying, like, if we can incentivize the school to work program and make it school free so that when you do go to work, you're not already in the red. I mean, that's the kinds of things, you know, like that's how you explain it in conservative America. And there's other things you can talk about that's progressive. Right? You can talk about clean energy.
You talk about branding, like with single payer. You said single payer is toxic, kind of like the word welfare is toxic. But if you use certain phrases like Medicare for all, that's totally different because people know what Medicare is. If you think single payer, that sounds foreign because it literally is foreign. You know, it's a Canadian system. But if you say Medicare for all, which is basically the same thing, they're like, oh, I know what Medicare is. You know, I know someone on Medicare or I'm on Medicare. So I think you're right. I think that, you know, there's no such thing as not there's not unwinnable districts, I guess is what I'm trying to say. If you just pitch your message correctly.
That's right. And that's what we're trying to do. What we're going to do is we're providing the candidate materials, material templates, and then guidelines on how to run a campaign, what kind of staff you would need, of course, the ground game resources to help you with like campaign management and all that good stuff, but also the progressive agenda translated into wherever you are. And here's the other thing. We're not going to make a candidate adhere to a cookie cutter strategy because, as we all know, that doesn't work. Politics isn't black and white. And even better, we want to do a canvassing and GOTV app that will either be a sister app to the Our Voice or it'll be a part of the Our Voice. But one way or the other, it creates a heat map, but a heat map of policies, of what issues matter the most to people. So let's say you're in rural America, but surprisingly, the things that matter the most to people are healthcare, women's rights, and jobs, right? Not guns, not abortion, not the economy, right? I mean, jobs, I guess, is part of the economy, but those are the top 3 things. Well, now you don't have to waste your effort talking about clean energy, or you don't have to waste your effort talking about universal this, that, or the other. You can focus on healthcare, women's rights, and jobs, and run your entire campaign directly to the people that you're going to represent. That is unheard of. It's unprecedented. It doesn't exist because all the GOTV and canvassing apps are you Republican, Democrat, or other. That doesn't tell you squat.
Right. So just kind of tells you what, constituents in certain areas really care about. Right.
Yeah.
Now,
and it'll be, yeah.
Let me ask you this, though, because what about people who would criticize that, saying, well, you're just kind of pulling a Hillary Clinton, where in the South you speak about certain policies, and then you go to the Pacific Northwest and you're talking about other things, and you're kind of flipping it. I mean, this isn't, do you think this would kind of give people the idea that, they need to be fake and, try to pander? Or do you think that this is just more educational? Because, I mean, obviously we don't want people to pander. But, I mean, I think it is important that they do know what constituents in that district want as well. So, I mean, how do you balance that? I mean...
Yeah, no, and thank you for bringing it up because it was something that was brought to my attention as well when I first pitched it. Because I pitched it completely different than I did just now. The idea being... what works in the South won't work in the North. What works in Springboro, Ohio, isn't going to work in Lancaster, Ohio, even though they're both rural communities. And it's about targeting your audience, right? If you're going to go to a college, are you going to talk about retirement? And the same thing, if you're going to go to a retirement community, are you going to talk about gun rights? Well, I guess it would depend, right?
Maybe.
But so retirement community, are you going to talk about going back to college?
Well, sure. That makes sense.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to see what does your community actually care about? And then target your message to them using the progressive model, right? Progressivism, we've already established, is the future, is something that everybody likes across ideological spectrums. The problem is the trigger words. So you take universal healthcare and you translate it into moderate and conservative. And then depending on where you are, that's the pitch you use. Hey, if you're in California, you lucked out because you can talk about all of the liberal and progressive things you want to your heart's content. But for the rest of us poor bastards in the Midwest, we're going to have to translate that into conservative. I'm not lying. I'm not telling anybody, I'm not pandering, right? I am literally explaining to them the progressive agenda in a way that they can stomach it, the way that they can understand it.
Well, and one thing that I want to emphasize here, just to kind of give you like a suggestion, not because I don't know anything about designing this type of organizations, but I think that one thing that we've seen that's effective is just having conversations with people. Like if candidates explain their position, I think that you can potentially use, trigger words, so to speak, if you really explain your position, because that's one thing that I think is lacking, is there's no political dialogue, there's no sense of discussion anymore. So we throw around these key terms like, big government, but nobody explains what these terms actually mean. So I think that if you can really focus on, or people kind of embody the idea that they have to talk to people, I think that goes a long way. And I kind of think that that's what your app is getting to where just, you know, having more discussions and, trying to structure it in a way that will be appealing to people that might not necessarily be inclined to accept that message. Like if someone's anti-big government, they're going to reject single payer just automatically. But I mean, there was I don't know if there was a poll or a focus group. I saw the headline basically that Trump voters, like half of Trump voters in one focus group, I believe, they support the idea of single payer, which, I think that that's fascinating because I wouldn't have expected them to support the idea of single payer. But, when you see if they supported Trump and you look back at Trump's prior comments, he actually did support single payer pretty adamantly so. So, I think it's just about discussion. I think that's important. So as long as candidates are talking to people and they're just not so detached to where they have to literally hold lessons on how to talk to real people like the Democrats are doing, I think they will be okay.
No, and that's the point too. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, if I run for Congress, or I guess when I run for Congress, I mean, can I personally knock on every door? No, that's impossible. I think I'd be representing 750,000 people.
Right.
But the conversations need to be had, and they need to be had in a genuine, understandable, realistic manner. And that's exactly what the translation is all about. If I just wanted to bludgeon you with progressive rhetoric, I wouldn't try and reach you on your level, and I would lose dismally. That's what the Democrats do. It's like, nope, we're going to run a Democratic campaign no matter where we are in the country.
Yep. We've got our 8 talking points. We have to stick to the script and whatnot. We have to say it word for word. It's annoying. It doesn't feel realistic and whatnot. And I, just to kind of share a personal story, I actually worked for, I don't know the name of the organization, just briefly, through college, where they were trying to do fundraising for the Human Rights Campaign. And they gave us a script that we had to memorize to talk to people, to ask them for donations. And they were very adamant that you stick to the script, you don't deviate from it. And I was doing that, and I got 0 donations. People didn't want to talk to me because it sounded fake. It didn't seem authentic. But the minute that my superior went away, and I was kind of on my little area, it was like a mall area in front of a Starbucks. But when she went away and I was able to just talk, I ditched the script. I just talked to people and explained to them, this is what we're doing. We're raising money right now. We're trying to repeal Don't Ask, Don't Tell. This was back in like 2010. And we're trying to get this.
Thanks, by the way, for trying to fight that early on. I appreciate that.
Yeah. It was something that, I wasn't in the military, but my brothers were. So, I think it's important that people in the military, they're not treated like shit. I think that we should all be on board with that. And that's kind of the way I explained it. It's just a matter of, we have people in the military right now who it's basically a witch hunt. And I know that this isn't something that you necessarily hear in the mainstream media. You don't hear people telling their stories. But it's what's happening. I've watched videos of vlogs online of people from the military that were ousted because people were actively looking for people who are LGBT. Just for example, so I got a ton of donations, and on that day when I ditched the script, I raised more money than everyone else. It was like $200, but that's still a shitload of money, just for people. So I think that natural conversations are so important. They
are, and that's what they don't understand. Like, Granted, I am a good public speaker. Like, if I can toot my horn about anything, it is that. I am definitely a good public speaker, and I'm very good at debate. Those are like the only things I'm good at, which has only benefited me now in life, because in the military it didn't do much for
Oh
me.
yeah.
I don't know why. Somehow telling the colonel he's wrong, I just, for whatever reason, they don't like that. Um, but it's true. If first of all, if I still had the vocabulary that I did in high school, you probably wouldn't understand a damn thing I'm saying, and you're a smart guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's my point. I can't talk like a dictionary to people that I'm trying to get to listen to me and understand what I'm talking about. You have to talk to people in a way that they understand it. So, sure, if I'm in front of like a NASA convention, I can use all the big fancy words I want. Not that I have them anymore, but if I did, I could. But if I'm talking about, healthcare policy, right, which is a big, complicated thing, but I want you to understand it. Why would I try and confuse you and make you feel like I'm belittling you? Why would I want to make you feel insignificant and insecure, like you're not smart enough to talk to me? That's the other problem. And it's something that conservatives have mastered. I mean, I have to give a few props where props are due, right? The Republicans have played the game, and they played it freaking well.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
It's mind-boggling, but they do it, and they speak simply. And part of that is also an understanding of what you're speaking about, right? If I was a subject matter if I was a subject matter expert of astrophysics, but I couldn't explain astrophysics to you simply, then I am not a subject matter expert. And I think that was Einstein who said it. If you cannot explain something simply, then you do not understand it well enough. And that is politics. That's how you reach people, and that's what we have to do. And that's the fundamental premise behind my race for the DNC, my race for state rep, my idea, the premise for helping candidates for Our Voice. And it's going to be exactly what I do when I run for Congress again. So, I mean, now we're an echo chamber, but that's the point. Like, you're absolutely right.
I think I feel you. I think that what you're doing it's bigger than you. Like I can see that you're trying to help others get involved, and we all kind of agree. It's time for progressives to leave their houses and to start running for Congress. We can't just we have Bernie Sanders at least. We can't do that anymore. We've got to be.
He's one person. We have to realize, first of all, we are selling ourselves short if we're only relying on one person.
Right.
If we're only depending on Bernie Sanders, what about the rest of the 270 million people who can vote or run for office? There are 500,000 elected positions in the country, and at any given time, in any given year, like 100,000 of them, 200,000 of them are up for grabs?
Oh, I'm sure. Constantly.
Hello. Right.
Yeah.
So that is what we need to be doing. And I'm not hating on what happened in Los Angeles. That is just the literal most recent example of disunity. There were 20 progressive candidates. If it had been narrowed down to like the Green Party candidate and maybe one other progressive, and then the two Dino Dems, and then like the Republican and the Libertarian and the guy who ran as an independent, if it had just been narrowed down to 7, and the progressive community at large supported either the Green Party candidate or whoever was designated as the progressive Democrat, right? That would have split our vote and resources by 2 rather than 20.
Sure.
We would have made a much better showing. It would have also split our donations less. And here's I hate to say it, but money is power in politics. And you and I can agree to disagree and argue all day long about how money is corrupting, or how people are weak and that's why it's corrupting, or that Citizens United has legalized bribery. But at the end of the day, money plays a role. And we have to be smarter than what we've been. We have to see the big picture. If money is involved and there is no way around it, then let us utilize it. Let us acquire it. Let us amass it and use it for our gains. Let us, the people, the many, the thousands, the millions, come together, donate $1 or $2, raise $20 million in LA, and then shove that down the throats of the DNC, right? There's I think 10 million people in LA County or Los Angeles, that district, 10 million people were there. If each of those 10 million people had supported, I'll name drop, if those 10 million had supported either Kenny or Arturo and given each of them either a dollar, or even if they split it in half and gave Kenny a dollar and Arturo a dollar split in half, that's $5 million right there. $1. People do not understand that $1 multiplied by millions is how we win. That's how our voice gets heard. Now, most people can donate more than $1. Most of my donations have been $5, $10, $20. The highest, I mean, I've gotten some pretty high donations, and thank you for that, by the way, but completely unnecessary. Don't spend that much money on me. But those high dollar donations, they're unnecessary. $5 or $10 multiplied by 1,000 people, that's a campaign. $5 or $10 multiplied by 1,000,000 people is a governor's race, a senator's race, a congressional race. You know what I'm saying? That is our strength, and we have been underutilizing it.
I like it, and it sounds like, progressive unity is what you're calling for, like a cohesive message. I like it. I think it's great. So yeah, I like what you're doing. So I won't keep you any longer, but any closing things you want to do, anything you want to plug, any websites? I mean, if we are curious about the progress of our voice, how can we track that?
My shameless plugging. Now, there's a QR code on here. I don't know how fancy the technology is, but that should be clear enough for somebody to use. In either case, we are doing two things. We are going to be launching an Indiegogo, which will be fundraising our super PAC. Now, that phrase might be a trigger for some, but let me assure you, this super PAC is a tool, a weapon, just like we've been discussing all day, to be utilized against the establishment. If we can put $10 million of our dollars into this super PAC and then spread out that $10 million to our candidates for our support and our needs, we win, right? The problem is when Big Pharma or Big Oil donate $10, right? So that's the Indiegogo that'll be coming out in the next couple of weeks. We're retooling it. We're also accepting video scripts. If you go to my Facebook, my personal Facebook is Samuel Ronan, you'll know it's me because there's over 3,000 friends on it, or to my verified account, which I think I just updated, Ronan for Progress. So Ronan, the word for F-O-R, Progress, or my Twitter account, which is Ronan, the number 4, Progress. If you go to any of those things, you'll see somewhere down there the script and to submit the video, and it'll be a part of the commercial. You will be part of our initial launch phase. The other thing we're doing is we're continuing to amass talent. You guys are exactly what is needed in the progressive movement. You are the social media experts. You are the ones who can proliferate a message. You're the ones who can write and blog. You're the ones who can do video and graphic design. You're the ones who are programmers and editors. You're the ones who can organize at the grassroots level and get people energized and ready to go. We need all of it. We have a 50-state structure that'll develop into a 3,000-plus county structure. We're also going to have plans ready and toolkits designed to help establish campus-level Our Voice organizations as well. And all of that can be gotten from our website, ourvoiceinitiative.org. Go through it. There's the resources tab. There's the Our Team tab. Let me double check here. The Action tab. Donate to Our Voice, join the team, fill in the data, contact. All these different things allow you to have your voice heard and become stronger by working together with fellow progressives. So more to come on that. There's also going to be my events coming up in New York City, like the New England area. There's going to be one event on 420, which is the Get Money Out of Politics event. People like Tim Black, Jordan Sheridan, if he's in town. We got Ali Mirza. We got I have to look at the events, but we got plenty of speakers who are local elected candidates, who are progressive leaders, who are just phenomenal people, and they're going to be there as well. So if you're in New York City on the 20th, come out. Otherwise, support it and proliferate it, because this isn't done. I'm not done fighting for you, and we shouldn't stop fighting for each other.
All right, sounds good. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Sam Ronan.
Support this podcast by joining the independent progressive media revolution today at humanistreport.com.